These days, the importance for companies to reshape their digital business models keeps on growing. The attackers, for the most part born in the digital age, are keen on fulfilling changing consumer demands. Social networks and e-commerce websites are experts in elevating standards. They set new benchmarks in terms of speed, agility, and user friendliness. Older companies often struggle to keep up with them, but those who can't compete simply cease to exist. They only have one option: upgrade their older IT architecture and business model into a new digital one. Four main areas or levers play a key role in the search for a successful digital business model. First, companies have to become skilled in a digital product innovation that meets changing customer expectations. Driven by the digital business models, the creation of digital products and services is boosted. Furthermore, it allows a shorter time to market. Secondly, companies have to provide a multi-channel experience, enabling consumers to easily switch between one channel to another. Some consumers may prefer to order something online, but they don't want to pick it up in a store themselves, for example. Thirdly, companies should look into working with big data and advanced analytics. Big data is a term defining the use of extremely large databases and large volume of data. However, the most important aspect of this term is what companies do with this big data. Analyzing this data will be a guide for strategic decisions and doing business in general. Fourthly, companies should improve their capabilities in automating operations and digitizing business processes. Customers expect quick response times and fast deliveries of their product or service. Better not keep them waiting. What does this implicate for the enterprise architecture? Implementing the four levers and requirements is easier said than done. A lot of times, taking into account one aspect or requirement may impose sacrificing a different one. Customers want quick, responsive, and user friendly channels, but upgrading the security facet might make everything else slower and less responsive. Most companies manage their data, information, and databases in silos, meaning they are most of the time not integrated. By doing so, they make it a lot more difficult for themselves to get a comprehensive view of the bigger picture. Additional problems may occur when channels are managed and tracked independently. Weakly integrated systems and databases prevent customers from further processing and comfortably utilizing the channels and information systems provided to them. It may bother customers from enjoying a real-time shopping and purchasing experience. There are a few building blocks recommended for a valuable digital enterprise architecture. The first one, and maybe the most important one: companies require a two-speed IT architecture, one fast evolving system alongside their older and existing slower paced system. A fast speed, preferably modular and quickly updatable system, should be used for the customer facing part. Running next to that one is the legacy system, the transactional core, with stability, high quality data management, and longer release cycles as main requirements. In addition to that, zero downtime is preferred. Servers being offline for hours is a bad option these days. A better suggestion would be to allow only a small amount of users to use the update until it is completely approved and ready to be fully launched. Also, fallback mechanisms should be ready at all times. This means there should be a fallback solution when an issue arises and other parts of the system aren't harmed by this issue. Companies should process data with real-time analytics. Because of the value of this data and preventing hackers to bring down your system, cybersecurity is the next integral part to look into. Finally, there are a few minor but still important elements. Decouple the processes from its products, making procedures easier applicable for more than one product. Easy process configuration to eliminate unnecessary process steps. And an instant cross-channel deployment of functionality. The transformation process towards two-speed architecture. Today's business environment doesn't allow companies to have a slow transformation process of a few years, not implementing anything new in the meantime. From the beginning, it is vital to define clear requirements and a high-level target architecture.
Created using Powtoon.
Companies should use a blend of methodologies. The ideal methodology is by finding a balance between a traditional waterfall approach and a modern agile method. A main challenge will be to balance the transformation of a two-speed architecture. Companies should have three main waves of changes. Firstly, adding new functionalities. Secondly, looking at short-term optimization for temporary problems. And thirdly, the advanced architecture transformation stream for sustainability and overall support. Consequently, develop the low-speed architecture too. The transactional back-end part must be carefully developed because they contain some of the more fundamental parts of the whole system. A house also falls apart without its foundation. So what are the key conclusions? While the digitally native companies are already adapted to today's accelerated environment, the more mature companies are struggling to keep up with them. A two-speed IT architecture might be a good guidance for those older and more traditional companies whose legacy IT systems lack flexibility and fast updates. The development of a two-speed architecture allows the more mature companies to compete effectively with the new digitally native companies. However, there is more to it than only implementing a two-speed IT architectures. Companies need to master the skills of digital product innovation, provide a flawless multi-channel experience, use big data and advanced analytics, and last but not least, improve their capabilities in automating operation. Those four levers pose new challenges for companies in their IT department. Well, we do not completely agree. We have some critical reflections. Why do we need a two-speed IT architecture with one fast-paced and one slow-paced part? Wouldn't it be better to just have one fast-paced architecture? No. Our answer to that is some services facing customer problems require a fast response time and flexible updates, while more fundamental parts of the software are more difficult and dangerous to adapt. This way, it is possible to keep the customer facing capabilities at a fast pace and decoupler our more fundamental parts at a slow pace. The fundamental parts require time, extensive development, and a lot of testing. They must be managed for scalability and resilience. Then we have a second critical reflection. You might say that falling behind today might cause you to never being able to catch up again. Our answer to that is falling behind in IT architecture means you risk losing market share and gives your competitors an advantage over you. You won't be able to make decisions as optimal as your competitors because of the lack of information. You create a blind spot which forces you to make suboptimal decisions. You will have to find a way to transform your IT architecture or your company can't be sustainable. Then finally, you might say it's not only the IT architecture that needs to adapt, but the overall strategy, mindset, and business of the company. That's a great remark. Let's think about that. While upgrading the IT architecture and implementing a digital business model is really important, it won't be a magical solution to keep up with the competition. Older companies need to refurbish their organization and governance model in parallel with the new technology. They have to blur the boundaries between IT and business. Furthermore, they have to change their mindsets. Management should realize the merits of IT and see it as an opportunity instead of a cost.
Created using Powtoon.